I heard Rabbi Yaron speaking. Someone sent me a video about him speaking about Asher Meza. So I'm not even gonna. All right, I quoted him. And whatever. He made a comment. Comparing Purim to Halloween. I mean, I understood what he meant, but it was a pretty bad comparison. It's like, yeah, they have Halloween and it's pagan, and we dress up on Purim, similar thing. No, it's not similar. It's totally not similar, but okay. So anyway, Rabbi Yaron was saying, he had someone listening to his classes for a long time. He decided to listen to some people on his blacklist. One of them was him. 7 months this guy listened to his classes. 7 months he was listening to Asher Meza. So Rabbi Yaron said, I only listened to a short part of it, but he said, I don't know if I can fix this guy. I don't know if I can fix him because of all the garbage this guy was spewing. You listen to someone that's cracked, you will come out cracked. That's not a threat. That's not a curse. I'm not cursing anyone. It's a promise. That's what's going to happen. If you listen to garbage, you'll end up in the garbage. You listen to the real deal. So you might not be the real deal, but at least you're getting the right information. Even if it's a little bit harsh, even if it's something, a person can't take, whatever. But you're getting the real information. You want to tell me, you want to compare, Halloween and paganism to Purim? Aren't they like opposite ends of the spectrum? Purim is a day like Yom Kippur. It's got the potential of Yom Kippur, total opposite extreme. Because, we're partying, we're drinking, we're saying words of Torah. What are we doing on Yom Kippur? We're fasting, we're repenting, we're beating our chest 100 times for all the sins we've done. Total opposite ends of the spectrum. But you know what? Purim has that potential. It has that potential like Yom Kippur. You want to tell me you're going to dress up on Purim and whatever that means, and you're going to compare it to Halloween? Do you have a screw loose? Are you normal? No, you're not normal. You're an idiot. How in the world can you... I can understand a small fraction of me. A very small fraction of me can understand the comparison. But what are you comparing? You're comparing one of the holiest days of the year. One of the craziest days also. One of the holiest days of the year to a pagan holiday? That's what you're comparing it to? It doesn't make any sense, right? And someone who backs him went to a monster mash, drive-in movie on Shabbos in the Strymel, in a Bekisher, dressed up in the Hasidic levush, looking like a Hasidic Jew, desecrating Shabbos to go to a drive-in theater to watch monster movies. Where's the brains? And why are you bragging about that? Why in the world are you bragging about that? Yeah, I know people will be upset by this video. Of course they'll be upset because you're a wacko. I'm going to call you out as a wacko. You're sitting there bragging you desecrated Shabbos to go to a drive-in to watch monster movies. And you ate cholent. You ate cholent with your Strivo on Shabbos in your car watching a monster movie. This doesn't make any sense at all. And you want to call me out and say, I'm the real deal and I don't convert anyone and I don't have my own rabbinical court? Do me a favor. Learn how to learn. Keep Shabbos properly. Don't in the world tell me and sit there and brag. You're sitting there bragging. It's just as bad. And I'm going to throw this out there also. I'm on this rant. People sit out there, and, they have these pride parades. Like, we're doing the worst abomination that the Torah says, skila, right? To be thrown off a 3-story building. If there was a temple in Jerusalem, and you're sitting there bragging. Yeah, this is what we do, and we don't care. And this is who we are, and it's okay. No, the Bible says it's not okay, right? Like someone came to my Rabbi once after he gave class and said there was going to be one of these parades. Going to walk right by the yeshiva. He said, what should we do? He goes, so my Rabbi said, you think I'm bad? My Rabbi said, it says coming by the yeshiva, what you should do? I don't think you should be holding out lollipops. Right? My language, you ain't getting up Tootsie Rolls. I don't know if they still exist. You ain't giving out lollipops. What, you stupid? You're going to sit there and give out lollipops. Oh, here you go. Here's another. You go, you're going to be out there protesting. Sit out there and learn. Say to him, do something. Don't provoke. You're not allowed to provoke. But if they go by, you can't say it's okay. You can't sit there and hand out ice cream, giving out hot dogs. That's ludicrous. Ludicrous. And they're going to do that in the palace of the king. And they're going to sit there and brag. It's unbelievable. So now someone says, how do I know living in the Messianic era? You know how I know? Because chutzpah. Chutzpah yazka. The Gemara says, chutzpah's going to run wild. I don't think there's any greater chutzpah than that. We're doing the biggest abomination according to the Bible. We're going to brag about it. Right? I'm going to dress in my Hasidic levush, which I don't have. Right? And I'm going to go to a monster mass on Shabbos. That's a great Shabbos. You're going to brag about that on social media? I'm a Hasidic Rabbi. No, you're not. You're going to get severely punished. God's going to deal with you. He doesn't need me to say it. But what do you brag? It's one thing, fine. It's one thing I can understand. You keep it hush-hush. You don't say anything about it. You keep it quiet. You put it on social media? Are you out of your mind? You out of your cotton-picking head? How can you brag? I did the worst abomination in the world. What are you going to say? I raped 4 girls. I'm going to put it on social media. Here we go. I'm going to show everybody what I did. You got a screw loose somewhere. That doesn't make any sense. Except for the fact there is a silver lining. You know what the silver lining is? We're definitely in the Messianic era. We're real close. So the Messiah will come. Like, how much worse can it get? I don't even want to go there. How much worse can it get? So I heard Rabbi Mizrahi say once, yeah, you think it's bad, these parades? They're going to bring animals also one day. Come on, bring your cow, bring your doggy, who knows what. Anything goes. Anything goes in this world. Oh, but can't say anything about it. Oh, that's being homophobic. That's being, Torah says it's forbidden. That's it. And I would care a lot less. And I wouldn't make such a big deal and yell and scream and all this, about it. If people just kept their mouths shut. If they didn't brag about why are you bragging about it? Why in the world are you bragging about it? And then you want to say, well, I know better than everyone else, and I'm going to downgrade every rabbi out there. You know what the punishment is? You have any idea? That the Gemara says, Miu Abikoris. Who's considered a heretic? Someone who says, oh, what do we need these rabbis for? They say, oh, they're not doing anything for the world. So they're not saying they're not doing anything for the world. What are they saying? Oh, they're wrong. Oh, they're misguided. Oh, they're this. Oh, Rabbi Kiva, come on. He was, different generation. Oh, this one, that. I do not want to stand by that person when they get struck by lightning or whatever's going to happen. Like, there are certain things that are just well below the belt. Well below the belt. Now, I would think some things are obvious, but they're not. And there are people that don't have any problem, saying certain things that, like someone will say, I know the Orthodox are going to be, upset with me. But listen, a 3-year-old boy playing with dolls, I knew it was going to happen. So what, do you think it's his fault? No, it's my fault. He was born in a girl's body, maybe. Right? Maybe he's got certain tendencies. Don't we all have tendencies? Don't we all have bad tendencies? Anger tendencies, miserly tendencies, cursing tendencies. We all have bad tendencies. So who says I have to act on it? Who says I'm allowed to act? No, I know people are going to get upset. You know why? Because they're going to say, what do you do with this verse in Leviticus chapter 18? But it's not their fault. Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? There are psychologists that can help people, with this. So people have weird desires, okay? The Torah says it's forbidden. But you can't just whitewash it. You can't whitewash it and say, I know the Orthodox are going to be very upset with me. Say, you're right, because it's heresy. That's heresy. It's like you're taking this verse and saying, no, it's out of context. It doesn't apply to certain people. Really? What do you mean it doesn't apply to certain people? They were born a certain way. I was born a lot of different ways. I got a lot of bad genes. God says, yeah, I put them there. I want you to overcome them. No, I don't want you to act on them. So why am I going to get punished? You put them there. So who cares if I act on it? Who cares if I do this? Who cares if I do that? And I do that because you're liable. You're not allowed to act on it. Getting angry is forbidden. Right? Terrible things are spoken about. People get angry. And people who curse. People do all kinds of things. So if someone's going to say, but I have, a doctor once told me, they're going to prove, and they've already shown that someone's homosexual, they have a certain gene. Okay, I have a lot of bad genes. Tremendous amount of bad genes. Doesn't mean I don't have empathy for these people. Doesn't mean that, right? But we can't whitewash it. We can't push it under the rug and say it's okay. It's not okay, right? It's totally forbidden. Most severe of all punishments. But to sit there and brag about it, and then say, well, what could you expect from them? Oh, nothing. I don't expect anything from anybody. No one should do anything. Forget Torah, forget mitzvah, forget everything. Nah, it's a free-for-all. That's what this world is. Don't make any sense. It's just making people feel better by saying it's not your fault. Well, we are responsible for our actions. We all have tendencies. Some of them better, some of them worse. Some of them we do to ourselves. Some of them we're born with. Right? Some of them go out of control. They can. Question is what we do. Question is how we react. But we can't say, well, it's not his fault. I don't want to laugh. I shouldn't be laughing. Right? It just sounds silly. This person did X, Y, and Z. But it's not his fault. Well, whose fault is it? This person was an axe murderer. It's not his fault. He came from a broken home. Okay. There are a lot of people come from bad homes. Does that mean everyone's an axe murderer? Put on by Jason Mask? Right? Is that what it means? Not what it means. You have certain disposition now. You 100% have a certain disposition because you grew up in a messed up way. True. That's 100% true. Right? But there are a lot of people who grew up in messed up families that they're not axe murderers. And they don't do other things. They might have a certain disposition, but so what? These dispositions can be overcome. Not all of them. Right? It's hard. They're not going to say no, but we can't make excuses. Right? And anyone who's going to say it's not their fault, well, that's heresy. Doesn't matter what they were doing at 3 years old, 4 years old, this, that. Right? Something could happen later, etc. There are a lot of things that could happen. That may all be true. Right? That doesn't exempt the person. That means they may go through trauma. There may be other things. There are a lot of things that can happen. Right? But we have to take responsibility for ourselves as well. Even though, let's say something happened against our will, it's not our fault. We didn't ask for it. Right? Question is how we deal with it. Right? But if someone, it's not even that. Someone says, yeah, that's who I am. That's my lifestyle. And not only that, I'm going to brag about it. For ourselves, we have to know what's right, what's wrong. And even if we do things wrong, I don't see too many people bragging, on social media and saying, how great they are because they get angry. And look at what this, they punched holes in walls and they did this and they did that. And they're sitting bragging about bad character traits. I mean, maybe some people will. The vast majority are not going to do that. But so why are they doing that over here? Because they want people to say what you do is okay. They want to justify what they do, and they want you to say you can't say anything about it, and we have a lot of power and all that. But why are you bragging about it? It's not a normal thing. Everyone will tell you it's not a normal thing, right? Some people may say, no, it is, and you're born with it, and this and that, right? We hold according to the Torah, it's not a normal thing. The Torah doesn't say, husband cleave to someone of his own sex. It says cleave to his wife. And they're forbidden relationships. In Leviticus chapter 18, we'll get there one day. We'll speak more about it. Okay. But I have to sit there and brag about it. I have to, person has to sit there and brag to desecrate Shabbos. I mean, it's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. The point is that we should be embarrassed. Any bad character trait we have, we should be embarrassed. We should hide it as much as possible. We don't want people to see our bad traits, even though people may see it anyway. We don't want that, right? We should have a little, a certain level of humility. See, but here anything goes. This is the world we live in today. Everything goes. So you can't say, well, this is bad and this one's wrong. That's your opinion. You're right. Right? It's my opinion according to what the Torah says. Torah says it's wrong. But to brag about it, to say all the terrible things they do and brag, that's a bit much. That's a bit much. It just doesn't make sense. Right? Totally doesn't make sense. And,
can you hear me, Rabbi?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
So earlier you was talking about, Noahide teachers and
right.
fake rabbis and whatnot.
Right.
But as the Noahide movement grows, of course, everybody and their brother wants to be hosting a podcast or whatever.
Right.
So what obligation do we have as Noahides to call these people out, report them, whatever we need to do when we encounter them with their, their.
You have every obligation if what they're saying isn't true.
Yeah.
Right. In other words, it's not a problem with Lashon Hara for the sole reason that they're misleading people. Right. If they're misleading people. Now, there was a whole war on Facebook a couple of years ago. And all the people did was just call out people and call people names and say they couldn't learn, call the Rabbi Singer, Rabbi Skobag. They wouldn't know how to learn if their life depended on it, called me out, and I gave them a golden opportunity. My golden opportunity was, everybody knows who my credentials are. My Rabbi will still vouch for me, 25 years, I'm still pretty tight. I said, I'm going to give you a golden opportunity on Facebook. You tell me who your credentials are. Show me. Show everybody here. Everybody wants to know. Show me. And he said, you're a wacko, you're this, and that was it. Call me names, and that was it. So I think people should be called out. It depends what it is. If it's something egregious, they're totally misleading people. And they're saying, well, according to Noahide laws, homosexuality is okay. No, it's not. That's forbidden. Death penalty. It's a form of immorality. If someone's going to say that's okay, that's not okay. It depends. It depends what it is. But the problem is that you're not talking with rational people. That's really part of the issue, because at the end of the day, what I've seen, and the Talmud states clear, is that you can't learn under a rabbi unless in your eyes he looks like an angel. Now, it doesn't mean he's perfect by any stretch. But if someone starts calling people names, they start calling people out, they say you can't learn and you're this and you're that and you're the other thing. So people say, how can that person be a rabbi? No, it's got bad character traits. It can have knowledge. It can have a certain level of knowledge, but you have to know what it is. And a lot of these people just they don't care. You have an obligation to warn others that what they're teaching isn't true. Would I call these other people out? No, it's a waste of time. We did it a while ago. I signed a letter. 6 of us signed a letter against a few people for stuff that they were doing. We're called the Rogue 6 or Rogue 7 or 8 or whatever it was. But these people are not rational. It's not like you're having a normal conversation. Calling them out is a waste of time, right? But to warn other people that these teachings are dangerous, that you're obligated to do, right? What Rabbi Yaron does and what Rabbi Mizrahi does to call people out, they're obligated to do that. They're 100% obligated to do that, to make sure people don't go astray, and people don't listen to people that they shouldn't listen to. Right. I'll go that far when I have to. I'm not going to do it every class I give, but if it needs to be, then people cannot be misled. And that's, I think, one of the single greatest problems in the Noahide movement today is exactly that. Is that there's just a lot of people doing a lot of different things, and it's chaos. And the few people trying to do the right thing are, getting squashed, and, not enough of the good materials getting out there. Right. So, so I guess the short answer is that, if people are doing things wrong, you can certainly warn people against it. There's nothing wrong with that. You just, should be prepared that they may come back to you, and say, oh, who are you to say this? And what do you know? And blah, blah, blah. And might start a whole thing, which I wouldn't necessarily say is worth it, but that's not your issue. Your issue is making sure, people want to do the right thing, and end up doing the right thing and not be led astray, because that's worse. That is definitely worse, because I think the majority of teachers out there teaching about Noahides are wrong. They're just not, they're not teaching what they need to teach. And a lot of them have big egos. They think they know what they're doing. They don't, and they don't. And, some of them I've called out, others I'm just watching what they're doing, but, I haven't necessarily called them out, because I need that, like I need another hole in that. But yeah, sometimes it needs to be done. 100% it needs to be done. But yeah, you have to do it in a smart way also. But, if you contact someone privately and you see that they're following somebody they shouldn't be, yeah, you can tell them. People say, people were claiming also, it was actually pretty funny as well. Because, people were saying, how can you say this against Israel? How can you say, because it's not Lashon Hara, because what they're talking is garbage. So what they're talking goes against what the Torah says. If it goes against what the Torah says, I can't be quiet over here. I mean, I'm not quiet anyway, but in this case, I'd be even less quiet, right? But not everything needs me to jump up and down and yell and scream, and but people have to know people have to know where the line is drawn. The case I gave was someone, I don't know, wants to convert, I guess maybe in the process of conversion, trying to do Jewish outreach, and they sound like an idiot. There's no reason to sound like an idiot. But you're right. There are a lot of people out there, I would agree. They want to make podcasts. They want to do this. Some of them may have the most altruistic motives. The problem is that they're not giving over the right, information, not giving over the right, Torah view. But the problem is they're not held accountable. That's I think another issue, is that they're not really held. They just say what they want, and they don't think there are any repercussions. And I don't, and part of me, small part of me, doesn't understand when people say things that are really off the charts and off the wall. Why do you think people are going to say something? And not only that, you're like totally like, who are you to say this? Well, let's see. I get sources behind me to say what you're saying is wrong. So, but you don't know how to learn, and you're this and you're that, and they start calling you names. So, okay, that's where it leads to. That's why it all, a lot of that died down, because these people are no longer around. They're no longer doing it. Some of them are. Some of them are. They're just, I
tell a lot of.
Yeah, go ahead.
I tell a lot of people that the safest venues, the safest outlets, are things like Tanakh Talk or Dan Barwell's podcast things, because with the prophecy of Isaiah, the Torah's got to flow from Jerusalem. So anybody that just facilitates the rabbis doing the teaching is more likely to be a good source than Noahides trying to do the rabbi's job, basically. So that's my advice.
No, but that's the whole point. Of what we're trying to do is trying to train others so they can do it. Obviously, under our auspices. But you have to ask the question. I think it's a fundamental question, and that is, if someone with minimal knowledge, why are they out there now? Why aren't they learning? Why, why, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. And that's exactly the reason. I'm all for people wanting to do things and help and spread the word. That's great. You have to know what your limitations are. And the problem is you get so excited, you run with it, and you don't care because ego gets in the way. What? I can't give a class. What I need the rabbis? What I need them? I got my own Talmud set. I got my own Zohar. I can quote from it. I can give my own thing. Now I have my own followers. I'll do my own thing. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Might sound like a lot of fun. The problem is the information you're going to get is skewed. 100%, is skewed. And the hardest thing, I think one of the hardest things, even for a Noahide, is that, in a Jew in training, the same is that they've been lied to by the church. Most people come out of the church. They've been lied to so much by the church. Why should they listen to the rabbis? You're just another guy, right? You're just another guy. Why should I listen to you? Well, we're the closest thing to the source, right? But it's a hard thing to lay themselves down, not to mention the fact that you have a lot of frauds out there that make our job a lot harder, a lot more difficult, because this person says this, another wacko says something like that, and they're doing all kinds of other things. And then at the end of the day, you're trying to give over information that, like I'm going to give over in this Noahide class later. What's the definition of a Ben Noah? What's the definition of a Ger Tosha, right? What is a Ger Tzedek? What's a Ger Tosha? They've butchered this. Butchered. I mean, that's not even the word. There's no source in the Talmud for this. Really? They're about 8, 9. There's no source. Really? Every time it says Ger, it means Ger Tosha. No, it doesn't. It's in context. Because you're right, a Ger is just another Jew, right? It means a Jew, but why does it say Ger? Okay, sometimes it means Ger, sometimes it means Ger Tosha. True. That's very true, but you have to know where, you have to know when, right? And one of the things people say, no, you have to go in front of a rabbinical court. Be a Noahide in front of a rabbinical court. You know what that does? Goose egg. Doesn't do anything. I'm a Noahide, I did in front of a rabbinical court. Ooh, that's unbelievable. That's great. Do I have to do that? No. Does it give me any extra meaning? No. Doesn't do anything. Now I'll give you a certificate. That's even better. I'll give you a Noahide certificate in front of the basin. You stepped in front of the basin, sign the basin. I could use that for toilet paper. It doesn't mean anything. It absolutely doesn't mean anything. So now you can imagine what my Noahide class later is going to be. It's going to be a lot of fun because, because I've just seen too much. They take one thing and they totally take it out of context, say this is what it always means, and whatever, and it means this, that, and the other thing. But there's no Ger Toshav today. We don't have a Yovel cycle, right? We don't have Jubilee year today. We have Shemitah, fine, we have a sabbatical year, but we don't have it. Right? So if we don't have it, then it doesn't exist. Oh, so this person said, yeah, I know it doesn't exist. So why are you teaching it? If you know it doesn't exist, why are you confusing people? Why are you telling people, oh, no, but it means this and it means that? Oh, so you give me Webster's 7th definition. See, I know better. People don't know better. And they I had somebody went to someone's class and I warned them against it. I said, tell me what happens afterwards. The person came back to me. And they said, Rabbi, you're never going to believe what happened. And I was waiting. I said, yeah, what happened? They said, I went in more confused than when I left. Meaning I left more confused than I went in. But I said, of course. They said, I said, you want to know why? I said, I'll tell you, very simple. Very simple, because in order to give over information, you have to understand the information. If you don't understand the information, and then you're quoting things like this, and you're going in opposite directions, then you sound kind of silly, and it doesn't make sense. And that's it. Right? And, and that's what you have. And yeah, there is a serious problem. And I thought when I got involved in the world of conversion, I thought that was bad. Sorry. When I got in the world of Jewish outreach, I spoke about earlier, I thought that was bad. And I saw all kinds of crazy things. I got involved in conversion, multiply that by infinity. Get involved with Noah Heights, multiply that infinity plus. You would never think, you just never think that, people are going to abuse certain things. People say, well, people lie in the name of God all the time and this and that. I'm not saying people are doing it to be egregious, people are doing it because, for whatever reason, they may have altruistic reasons, okay. But even with the biggest of egos, you have to take a step back and you have to say, I don't know. And you have to say, I'm not sure. You have to say, I need to learn. Right? A good example is Asher Meza. He never spent time in yeshiva. 2 weeks, a month, maximum. And now he made thousands and thousands of videos. Why would I take what he says seriously? Why? You don't have any knowledge behind him. None at all. These other people, how much they've learned in this and that, you need to learn from the source. The person wants to learn Talmud. How are you going to learn Talmud if you don't have someone teach you? Doesn't mean you can't read it. You can read it in English, fine. You're not going to understand the nuances. There are a lot of things you're not going to understand. So that's why a person needs a teacher, but don't think I can do it on my own. Right? There was a story one of my rabbis once told me in Cleveland. There was a bunch of priests learning Gemara, learning Talmud. So they stopped one of my rabbis once, and they started talking to him, and they knew it backwards and forwards. They could tell you verbatim what the Gemara said, the back and forth, this and that. He said, it's just like in the Frisco Kid with the Indian chief. And he says, I read their holy Torah. Didn't understand a single word. So he started asking questions, simple questions. Okay, Abai and Rava disagree. What are they disagreeing about? What about this? Does this apply? Not apply? They couldn't answer. They can only repeat it verbatim, but they didn't understand anything. Right? A person get more knowledge, less knowledge. But how can a person learn, especially Kabbalah and other things, if you don't have someone who's teaching you? It doesn't make any sense. But everyone wants to be out there. Anyone can make a podcast. And the crazier it is, the more people are going to watch it. That's the problem. That's the problem. You're 100% right that, not that we're bragging as the rabbis over here, but, you have to get from the proper sources. If you don't get the proper sources, people come out tremendously confused. And it makes perfect sense because it is confusing, right? 100% is confusing. So that, we're trying to eradicate and erase years of abuse of this, and that's what, that was the whole point of this course. That was the whole point that Rabbi Blumenstiel did this course in the first place, right? Is in order to do it properly, right? Did a great job. Doesn't need me to compliment him. Did a tremendous job, going through it. but but that's what's needed. It can't be some fringe elements out there, making their own podcasts and doing their own things, and they sound, they sound kind of crazy, right? That's what I would, but again, it's going to take time. It's not overnight, it's not going to be an overnight thing. But I'm a firm believer. Ray Peterson may disagree, but I'm a firm believer that it can be done if it's done in the right way. And it's going to take time to do it. It's going to take time to re-educate people and all that, but it is going to take time. I don't think there's any question. You need a lot of patience, but a lot of things that that I see, I just like, I would always say, like, how much worse can it get? How much more ludicrous can it get? And I was like, nah, it can't get that much worse. And then I see someone post something. I'm like, really? I'm like, this is the best you got? This is what you're saying? It's hard. It's very disconcerting because, what it does is the people really trying to do good things, they're getting thrown under the bus, and they're getting abused to a certain extent because, they've already have a bad name. They have a bad name before they started, but okay. We got to start somewhere, trying to make inroads. And that's, that's the whole thing. That's why it's crucial, always check A, somebody's credentials, B, who they learned by, and C, hear what they say. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. A person has to do research also. They don't leave their brains open, to the minds fall on the floor. You have to, you have to think as well. But there are a lot of people that get hoodwinked. There are a lot of places where people can learn Hebrew. That's one of the classes I don't teach, but people have to be careful because who's teaching Hebrew? A lot of these videos, Messianics, right? So, you got to be careful. They may be well-meaning, but they have an agenda also. They have a tremendous agenda also. So, yeah, like I said, I gave someone a golden opportunity, to show credentials. Gave a few people golden opportunity. And, I near anything, nothing. I got made fun of. Okay, I got big shoulders, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's put up or shut up. But don't think no one's gonna call you out if you say something egregious, right? That's that's for sure. But the thing is that you get a little bit of knowledge and people are already posting, people saying this, people saying that, saying the other thing. It's one thing you post what someone else says, okay? If they're legit, good. If not, okay, it's a problem. But in general, you got to be very careful. Like I called this person out, I mentioned before. I understood what they said, but if they would have lived in the Jewish community, they wouldn't have said it. They wouldn't have made such a statement. They read it, that's very good. So, they get credit for reading something, giving over some Torah, but they didn't understand the context. If you don't understand the context, why are you quoting it? And why are you saying it? Right? And to me, it just burns me up because, you got better things to do. You should be learning from other people, not giving classes yourself. Right? If you have the requisite knowledge, fine. But a lot of these people don't. And they say crazy things.